Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to episode number 14 of Toolhouse Rock. Today, we're excited to be hosting Questbook. Before we get started, a quick recap on Toolhouse Rock. This is a structured community call where we host teams building exciting projects in the Web3 space with a specific focus on their application to sub-DAOs and the greater Maker ecosystem. A few disclaimers: our views are our own and are not representative of MakerDAO as a whole. Information moves very quickly in this space, and therefore inaccuracies are possible, especially if you're viewing this recording at a future date. And finally, none of this is financial or legal advice. Okay, taking a closer look at Questbook. We're excited to be hosting our first grants protocol here on Toolhouse Rock. After analyzing Questbook, we believe it will be most impactful to the ecosystem support scope, the protocol scope, and finally the accessibility scope. And looking at improvement categories, we feel this project can bring value to community building, transparency, scalability, impact, and finally, user experience. Okay, thank you to Ruchil and Savaj for joining us today. I will hand over the screen share.
Thank you, Kechor, for giving us the opportunity. Really appreciate it. And thanks for everyone who's part of this call. Thanks for taking the time out and joining us. I'll just share my screen. Let me know if you're able to see it.
I don't see it just yet.
Is it visible now?
Yes, I've got it now.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, everyone. I am Ruchil. I am one of the founding team members at Questbook. We at Questbook have been working and helping multiple ecosystems run and manage their grants program. I am a builder as well. I've applied to multiple grants program, both from a technical and non-technical standpoint. And more about Questbook. Let me just, sorry for the glitch. Yeah. So we at Questbook, we are an on-chain grants orchestration tool with two clear value propositions. We help ecosystems run their grants program in a transparent and community-first manner. Based on my experience, I've submitted proposals to three kind of grants programs. One is a review committee using a centralized tooling such as Notion Airtable, which is perfectly fine from operation standpoint. But the problem that a proposer feels there is, number one, they don't get to see how the proposals are being evaluated and when they will hear back from the team. Sometimes I've experienced it takes a couple of weeks. It can go as long as 2 months. And on the decision-making standpoint, it's not very transparent. So you are not quite entirely sure why your proposal is accepted or rejected if it's a opaque process. That's on the transparency part. That's what we help solve. On the community-first manner, in the first model that I mentioned, all the decisions are taken by members of either a foundation or a centralized non-community elected grants committee. And they take the calls based on a rubric or sometimes not a rubric. And then the final decision is just conveyed to the proposal. So we also advocate and empower the community members to actively engage or at least elect the decision makers as part of their grants program. That's what we've been doing since the last 1.5 to 2 years. Who do we work with? We recently started engaging with Arbitrum DAO. We concluded Compound Grants Program 2.0 for the last 6 months. We bootstrapped Polygon Grants Program back in 2021, early 2022. Helped them disburse close to $1 million. Currently working with Ton Foundation and Solana Foundation as well. I am a Solana Foundation grantee. Overall, Questbook has received 1,500 proposals overall, all these ecosystems combined, and we have paid out around $3 million to all the accepted proposals. I'll just take some time to double click and zoom in on community grants program. While describing the first model where all the decisions are taken by a centralized committee, on the other extreme, there are DAOs or ecosystems which are entirely community first. The experience that I've had there is everyone votes on almost every proposal. And there's a clear lack of, number one, engagement with the proposal. Sometimes the voters don't even read the proposals, or they are not the right person in terms when it comes to expertise to vote on that proposal. Now, if I were to vote on a critical MakerDAO technical proposal, I'm not the best person, even though I may have a lot many Maker tokens. So to avoid that, what we advocate for is a delegation concept. But in terms of an ecosystem delegate, you are a decision maker for a grants program, but the decision making or the election is based on the expertise primarily. So for Compound, we were the program manager managing all the operations along with the tooling, and core contributors were elected from the community and by the community. These core contributors are called as domain allocators. As you can see here, Bobby from Stable Labs, they led the multi-chain domain. New protocol ideas was led by all the colors, who is a core contributor of Compound since quite some time. Developer tooling, we couldn't find enough candidates, so Madhavan from our team did it voluntarily. And finally, the security was done by Michael from OpenZeppelin. A similar program is being advocated, and we'll be running it for Arbitrum DAO. Using Questbook, anyone can come on the platform, ask questions to the proposers, take feedback, give feedback to these allocators, but these allocators are solely responsible for taking decisions. On top of that, they undergo a voting process every quarter so that there is no governance capture from their end as well. We advocate for replacement of allocators, and we ourselves initiate a no confidence vote if the performance is not up to the mark. These were the metrics of CDP 2.0. All this data is transparent on Questbook, so it's not something that we have pulled out this data anywhere from. All this data can be and is visible to the community members on Questbook. Across all 4 domains, we disbursed 326K, allocated 670K out of the proposed 800K, which is around 84%. Overall, the communication turnaround time was less than 48 hours. The funding turnaround time was less than 2 weeks. The NPS from the proposers was 8.6. The overall score was 8.2, their experience score. And these are the metrics on the number of proposals accepted, and around 40% acceptance rate. Based on our learnings with multiple ecosystems, we have a playbook that grants program looking to decentralize and focus on transparency should focus on. As I mentioned earlier, what problems builders face when submitting a proposal to newer ecosystems or existing ecosystems is they don't know what to propose. They don't know who will evaluate their proposal. They don't know who to contact from their grants team. They don't know when and how their proposal will be evaluated, or how much funds were dedicated to funding those proposals. And finally, the turnaround time is already a big question. They don't know when they will receive the grant amount. I've personally faced all of these challenges myself while applying to different grants programs. Based on these questions and interviews and research, and speaking to multiple builders in the ecosystem, we propose insights that any ecosystem can derive, and we ourselves have built out a design model for running the grants program, and also our tooling supports that particular model. The first insight is moving from a general grants line to a domain specific RFPs leads to high quality proposals. These are all active or actual screenshot from the existing grants program. So on the left hand side, you can see the language is quite generic. So it's a general grants program, or aims to accelerate the development of the ecosystem. So I, as a builder, do not know what to submit, and most of the proposals are low quality as a result of the language that is put out. Whereas in case of Compound and other good quality grants program, the focus area is very specific, and we have gone further and written how to write a good proposal guides, because builders need help with that. They need hand holding on what a good proposal looks like, so that they do a lot of homework before submitting a proposal. The second insight is knowing the reviewer's name or the allocator's name makes them accountable and significantly reduces turnaround time. So on the left hand side, as you can see, there's a team with almost the same hierarchy, and builders didn't know whom to reach out, so they referred the team as "Hi guys, hello admin." And because of this diffusion of responsibility, nobody knows who will respond to the queries, and it results in bystander effect. Whereas on the right hand side, you can clearly see that the allocator or the specific person who is running that particular domain is called out. And that's again very transparent. So if they're not responding quickly, the community can see how good they are in terms of both the response turnaround time and the funding turnaround time. And the actionable feedback is also very specific, because these allocators are accountable in a public forum. The third insight is if the evaluation process is transparent, it leads to quality submission, resubmissions, and decreased disputes. By what I mean by that is, if you can already see the proposals that are submitted, I, as a proposer, would not submit a repeat proposal. So that will decrease the pipeline of redundant proposals. And also, if I am given timely, actionable feedback by the allocator, my resubmission quality will also be much higher as compared to a opaque review process. As you can see on the left-hand side, these are actual screenshots from DAOs who have a grants program. Builders never get to know what the reason for their rejection was. Whereas in this case, we had clearly well-defined evaluation rubrics. The allocators scored the proposal based on these rubrics and gave comments to support their reviews. And the disputes were very few. The final point is having a dedicated grants budget significantly enhances developer or the builder mindshare. I've had the experience of submitting a grant proposal where I was the program launched with the grant amount of 50K per accepted proposal, but I was given 15K as an individual builder. So to avoid such cases, it's better. All these amounts that you see here are directly coming from a Gnosis save dedicated to grants. So it's imperative for grant programs to not just announce that they have $1 million or a $10 million grants program, but also have dedicated funds that can be visible in a transparent manner. We have been following this activity for treasuries, because all of the data for a dedicated treasury is visible. But unfortunately, that is not the case with most grants program. Finally, impact evaluation is a very wide area of research. We're also spending a lot of time there. But to compress all the impact areas of grants program. We track these metrics based on the nature of the ecosystem. Uh, Milestone completion rate for compound, it was 75%. Project completion rate, user adoption, growth and engagement within the community, and all specifically contributor community, TVL of the funded proposals, and finally, number of projects raising institutional capital. In terms of brand and content awareness, we measure the reach, increase in community engagement, especially social credentials of that ecosystem, and the brand recognition. These are more subjective metrics that we try to measure from our end. Finally, all these four areas lead to a very high NPS. In our case, it was 8.6, and there's still definitely scope of improvement. But if an ecosystem focuses on these four pillars, which is a narrow focus area, familiarity with reviewers, transparent review process, and dedicated grants budget, the likelihood of having a high NPS and a successful grants program is significantly higher because we are taking care of transparency, accountability, and community oversight. Finally, why Questbook? Over the span of last 1.5 to 2 years, we have spent $0 on marketing, and we intend to continue the same. We have organic traffic of 30,000 monthly developers. We make sure that the funds are allocated and are aligned with the focus area of the ecosystem that we work with. Reviewers are elected from the community and by the community. We want to minimize governance capture, and by that I mean that the allocators are either retained or replaced based on their performance by the community. These allocators are accountable. The process is very transparent. Any ecosystem can make direct payouts through a multi-sig wallet on chain. The communication and funding turnaround time, as I mentioned, is less than 48 hours and 2 weeks respectively. And finally, NPS across the board is significantly higher. Before I move to the demo, I'll just take a pause and see if anyone has any questions.
Do you mind just sharing with the audience what the NPS acronym stands for?
Sure, and that's a great question. My bad. It means Net Promoter Score. So we evaluated two things while engaging with builders continuously. One was, how was their overall experience with the grants program? That was 8.2. And NPS says, how likely are you to recommend this particular grants program to your builder friend? That was 8.6.
Great, thank you. And is there a similar score applied to the builders in addition to the projects?
Yes, correct. That's a great question. I can probably move to the section here. So this is how Questbook looks like. So you can see it's a completely on-chain transparent tool. You can go to any of these ecosystems. So in the case, it was Compound on the left-hand side. And anyone can view the proposals, the quality, see the engagement of, so he's the allocator, and the scores that they've given to each proposal. So this is the score on top of the NPS score that these allocators give to each proposal, and share their rationale as to why they think that this proposal should be accepted or rejected. Does that answer the question, Catcher?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And anyone can come here from any ecosystem. They can ask tough questions and even help out the allocator. On top of that, we have guides. So as I mentioned, we have clear, well-defined RFPs for each domain. So what is in scope of my domain? What do I want to see get funded? What makes a good proposal in this domain? And examples of a good proposal. So these are all the guides that we have written with each allocator for each domain. anyone can submit a proposal, and anyone can start a grants program within less than 2 minutes. Happy to answer any questions, take feedback on how we can further improve this. That's pretty much it from my side. In terms of the demo, it's fairly straightforward. So as soon as anyone comes to Questbook, you can just click start a grants program. In this case, we can say MakerDAO endgame or MakerDAO dev tooling grants. These are all the form fields that you can see and add based on your requirements. If there's any link or a document that is relevant to the grants program, that can be uploaded or added. The next step is how will the reviews be done by the team? It's either a vote, a yes or a no, by the review committee or the allocator, or rubric, which are scores on every proposal. I'll just select rubric here. And you can define the criteria of each evaluation rubric. In this case, it can be relevance to MakerDAO. Uniqueness. And out of 1 to 5, you can score each proposal. And the last step is how the proposals will be paid out. Will they be paid out in one go, or will they be paid out based on milestones? And finally, what is the average grant amount paid out to grantees? I'll just say 5,000. Once it's done, you can just click create grants program, and the on-chain grants program is created. Once it's created, it looks like this, and you can share it with the community, and they can start applying to the grants program and start submitting their proposals. This is how the form looks like that we just created. I can enter my name, email, and as soon as I submit this proposal, it shows up on the left-hand side. Also, you can also see all the milestones that the proposer has submitted. So for each milestone, it shows up the amount that is required to be paid out. And once a proposal is accepted or rejected, you can make milestone-based payouts. I'll also try to show that. These are all the demo grant programs that I've created. So you can ignore all these. These are not visible to everyone because this is the for you section. So I'll just take one example. This is a proposal that I've already accepted. And then I can directly pay out the builder using my multi-sig wallet, which is already connected. Select which milestone I want to pay out from, and then directly trigger the payout from my Gnosis multi-sig. I may not have this much in my multi-sig, but yeah, I can edit the amount based on how much I need to pay. And directly the transaction should get queued on my multi-sig. and I can execute directly from Gnosis. As soon as it's executed, it shows up under the payout section, and also the numbers get automatically updated on the homepage. That would be pretty much it, Catcher, from my end. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Would it be possible to see the builder or the project score feature?
Sure. Let me share my screen. So on the scoring part, see if I have any. So this is the score that I've given. The right way to go about adding scores to these proposals is, firstly, you'll have to add a reviewer. So here, I can add members to my grants program. It generates an onchain link, which is unique to an individual. So no other person can join from the same link. So in this case, it will be a reviewer. I'll join as a reviewer, mention my name. One thing that I forgot to mention was triggering notifications. Yeah, so now I'm added a reviewer in this particular proposal. So using this option, I can just scan my QR code and set up a notification bot. Once the bot is set up, you can receive all the notifications on Telegram.
And these scores are for live proposals or following the completed work?
So these scores are for live proposals. Once the proposal comes in, the reviewer, let's say in this case I'm a reviewer, I can submit scores to the proposals under review. And only after all the proposals are scored, I can take a call whether to accept or reject them. Does that answer?
Yeah, no, that all makes sense. So just to clarify, is there any scoring feature for following the engagement once the work has been completed, either reviewing the builder or the protocol issuing the grant?
You mean scoring the protocol? For example, I'll give compound 3 of 10. Is that the question?
Yeah, I guess I mean, once a protocol has issued a grant and the work's been completed, like a scoring feature on the following the engagement, once the work's been completed and the funding's been paid out. And I may have just been misunderstanding earlier.
Not specifically. It's the scoring is basically before you accept or reject a proposal. Once that's done, the reviewer makes milestone based payouts. So if the milestone is hit, in this case, let's say if milestone 1 is hit, you can make the payout. Otherwise, you don't make payouts to the proposer. There's no scoring after these scores have been submitted, and once the decision on a proposal has been taken.
Understood. Thank you for that clarification. And then one other question I had, you mentioned it earlier, briefly in the slides, the quarterly either review or voting process on the domain allocators.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, do you mind just going a little bit more in detail on that?
Sure. So what I mean by this particular aspect is every quarter we ask, firstly, we share the performance of these allocators, how much was funded, what projects were funded, how was the decision taken, the overall contributions of the funded projects to, in this case, compounds governance activity and supply borrow demand. And based on that, the community judges the performance of each allocator and also these domains, whether they're even required or not. So if anyone has any objections, they can just raise a proposal. So let's say any core contributor or anyone in the compound forum can just say, hey, I did not like the performance of this allocator. He was very slow. He didn't allocate projects to the right set of teams, and they should be replaced. So, and if they get enough traction, that proposal will not even just every quarter is a practice, but they can initiate that proposal even before a quarter. We call it a no confidence motion, and replace them with either a more competent person or just not have this domain altogether. So, so our proposal takes care of incompetence or non-performant domain allocators.
Got it. Thank you for that explanation. And we also have a question in the chat regarding the milestones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, do you mind just sharing a few examples of the milestones?
Sure, I can go proposal by proposal. So we can look at all the accepted ones. In this case, they have 2 milestones. The other ones are, I'll just go and see if you have any specific questions around milestones. But these are all proposals do submit milestones, even the rejected ones. These are on the right-hand side. And all the payouts can be seen in the payout section. Directly, it's a safe transaction, so you can see if the payout has been made. You can just check how much was paid out and to whom. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. And have there been any disputes, or is there a specific dispute process in place for potential disagreements between builders and protocols on whether certain milestones have been hit or whether work has been completed in accordance with the original agreement?
I think that's a great question. So the number and the overall quality of disputes has been significantly lower as compared to others. The reason being, all the requests for feedback goes to this allocator, and they themselves give, even if according to them the milestone is not hit, they give pointed feedback as to what needs to be done for the milestone to be hit, rather than just saying, hey, the milestone is not hit. That's one. And secondly, they're obliged to respond because their renewal depends on their performance. So combining the accountability factor and the quality of feedback given by the core contributor of Compound in this case, the amount of disputes have been almost negligent till now.
That's great to hear. And I'm sure having the whole protocol public and transparent mitigates a lot of those
Yes,
potential disputes.
yes, you're absolutely right. I think the superpower for running DAOs and having a transparent grants program while keeping someone accountable is, we have found it to be a great balance between speed and decentralization, because these allocators are elected from the community and by the community, and speed because they are the sole decision makers. And if they are very slow in responding or the quality of decision is not that great, they are at the risk of getting replaced even before a quarter. So the program design has been made before it was put in practice. We worked 1.5 years to think through the design.
And another question in the chat regarding the milestones. Is it possible to connect certain stages or milestones with specific rubrics? And can you sort of parse out the requirements per milestone for a total proposal?
Got it. I think that's a great question. We don't have rubric right now. I think we should definitely something worth thinking through. So we don't have right now rubrics for a milestone. We have rubrics for an overall proposal, and by that the allocator or reviewer is signaling that they in principle agree with the objectives and the milestones laid out by the proposer, and that is what accepting a proposal means in our case. And for, can you pair milestones to show the rubrics more than what is shown here? As I mentioned, there are where we don't have milestones paired with evaluation rubric. So the rubric is paired with the overall proposal right now as compared with the milestones. Does that answer the questions? We don't have that built in right now.
Yes, I believe that answers it. Thank you. And is it possible to view either builders or protocols history on chain with either completed work or alternatively completed grants programs?
That is another great question. So in terms of statistics, we have around 20% of the proposers as anonymous. Even in this case, the allocator is pseudonymous or anonymous. And the problem that they face is sometimes not getting a grant from the committee because it's hard for them to prove their credentials. And to solve that, we built out our own protocol, which is a reclaim. It started off with a solution for these segment of pseudonymous and anonymous people looking for grants, but then we generalized it, not only on chain but off chain as well. So using reclaim, you can access user data from any website without using an API. This is live as a protocol, still under audit, reviews, heavy testing. The next step is to integrate this with Questbook so that not only can you port your on-chain data, you can also port your off-chain data. Like, hey, I can prove to a reviewer that I'm a core contributor to MakerDAO without revealing who I am. So that's in the works.
Nice, very exciting.
I think another question was, is there a following work after grants are distributed? Yes, so every grant proposal that is accepted, there are less than 1% of the overall grants that are given out to proposers without them doing the work. So milestone-based payouts are in a way retro grants, because once the proposer completes a milestone, and then only are they given out the grant. On the overall project completion standpoint, the program manager and also the allocator chases and follows up with the proposers to ensure that they complete the project. In case of Compound, all the projects that are funded at least once, 75% of them have completed all their milestones. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for that demo. Very helpful. Is there anything else you'd like to share or comment on before we start wrapping up here?
I think I had one question as to how can we start engaging and at least gauge the interest of this group and the MakerDAO community to help them, and of course, if there is interest, run a similar grants program in a transparent, accountable, and community first manner. Because I do understand, because I've been following all the sub DAOs and the endgame progress. And keeping that in mind, we'd love to contribute and start our efforts towards helping MakerDAO to start the discussion around community first grants program.
Sure. I think there's certainly a lot of opportunity with the sub DAO launch, sub DAOs launch coming up, as well as possibly with the advisory council committees, or aligned voter committees, sorry. I know that many of them are searching for advisory council members. That's a bit of a longer term engagement, so I'm not sure if that exactly fits with the grants protocol, but certainly could work in that regard. But I would say the biggest opportunity currently is the forthcoming sub DAOs and those smaller communities hiring builders for specific projects.
Understood. I think probably we can touch base after this call as well. Would love to know more and contribute or initiate the discussion around helping MakerDAO structure a community first grants program, if there is any interest from the community.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, please reach out. And this recording will also be shared with the Maker community.
Sure.
And could you please share the best way for interested community members to reach out either to yourself or Questbook more generally?
So for reaching out to Questbook, on the like I'll just share my Telegram here. And Twitter as well. So I have the same Telegram and Twitter handle. For reaching out to Questbook, you can reach out to us through Twitter DMs. Like we just message our account as an organization. We respond to every query on Twitter, and as a Questbook product, we on the homepage we have a button to reach out to us for any queries. So you can just let me share that as well so that it's visible to everyone. So you can just click this button on the bottom right and just ask any questions if you have. We respond to almost all the questions on a daily basis.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on today and presenting for us. Very cool to see the demo as well as some of the problems that your team is attacking in the grant space. Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
You'd like to share before we wrap up here?
Nothing. I just wanted to say thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present. The only request from my side is that every grants program structure, right from the design to processes to the impact, has improvement of scope of improvement, especially on the impact side. And if anyone's interested in having a detailed discussion or async discussion, I am more than happy to engage in that, and would love to initiate that conversation as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you to you and the Questbook team, and very exciting to see what you guys are building. Thank you to everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Toolhouse Rock. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a nice day, everyone. Thanks a lot.